I want to tell everybody out there to guard your heart. And what I mean by that, I'm not talking about necessarily with relationships, but just everything, like information, like guard your heart from certain information. All information isn't good. We live in a time right now where it's literally information overload. Like every time you pick up your phone, it's somebody telling you how to do something, right? Even with me, right? Maybe what I tell you is not for you because I'm speaking from a place of my experience. So I'm always telling people like, don't always take my information as truth because it's my truth doesn't mean it needs to be your truth. But I will tell you this, like when it comes to guarding your heart, you got to have some standards set in place. I just finished the coaching with Inner Circle. And I talked about this, like your values and your principles have to be set in place that you don't fall victim to presentations. You don't fall victim to information because presentations lie, right? How someone presents themselves, just because somebody presents themselves good, act good, talk good, look good, doesn't mean they're good for you, okay? And also to an information, just because somebody gives you great information doesn't mean that they're a great person. And so you have to guard your heart from these things. You have to use discernment. You have to have values and principles, and you have to stand on those principles and values and standards. I'm a firm believer that you should never lower your standards at all. I'm never going to lower mine. If you want to be in my life, I didn't work too hard, right? I didn't work too hard with myself to be able to develop some standards in my life. And so for me, I'm not going to lower my standards at all because when you lower your standards, what you're doing is you're teaching yourself to settle in life. You're teaching yourself that it's okay for me to settle. And a lot of times what happens when you settle for something, I'll just say something or someone, when you settle for something or someone, what happens is that you come down to their level. And then if they leave you or that situation changes you, whatever, you're stuck there, right? Now you have to build yourself back up. So the question that I want to ask you, because I always like to want you to think for yourself is, in what ways aren't you guarding your heart? In what ways aren't you protecting your life? In what ways are you settling? Like the voids in our life are dangerous. And what I mean by voids, it could be a financial void. It's dangerous because a lot of times when we have voids, we become vulnerable. And when we're vulnerable, you know, any information or presentation that looks good for us, right? It could be somebody who's scamming us, whatever, and we're vulnerable and financial, and we take that truth. Oh, okay, cool. You can give me more money. Okay. Oh, you have money. Okay, then you're right for my life. Okay, come into my heart because you have what I'm looking for, that void. And a lot of us know what happens when we do that. Or maybe you have a void of, you know, a loneliness void, and you want to just be around someone. And so someone comes in your life or something comes in your life where it takes away the loneliness, and you're like, okay, this is right. This is what meant for my life. This is what God has sent me. And then you find out that it wasn't what God has sent you. So it takes work. It takes really knowing yourself. There's a quote, and listen to my podcast, people. Like, I give a free podcast every Wednesday. One just came out today on how to make your relationship stronger. It's episode. I have 11 episodes. Like, go listen to the podcast. If you're not listening straight up, I don't know what you're doing. Especially if you're on here right now. Obviously, you follow me. You're in tune with Rehab Time. Please go listen to Straight Up on your way to work. It make your drive shorter, I promise you. I promise you to make your drive shorter. Or make your workout shorter, or make your run shorter. I feel like it at least. But I talk about this quote by Tina Linford, and she says, when you know yourself, you become when you know yourself, you become encouraged. When you own yourself, you become invincible. And I think that's the goal with knowing your worth, because that's what knowing your worth is all about. It's knowing that you're not going to settle for less. And what's crazy is that, like, we know our worth, like we know other things' worth, right? Like, so if somebody was trying to buy something for you that you were selling and they like offered you a cheap price, you'd be like, child, please. Like, what? You better go on to the next person with that. Like, I know how much this car worth. I know how much this house is worth. I know how much this cell phone is worth. I know how much these pots and pans that I'm selling is worth, right? All those things, you know what they're worth, and you're not going to settle for less, right? Because you know how much it's worth. But what's always crazy to me and ironic to me is that we can do so great when it comes to external things in our life. Like, we can be great at knowing the value of something. We can be great at, valuing something that's a one-on-one, that's custom made. But when it comes to our own life, we don't do the same thing, right? We don't realize that we're custom made. Like, you'll go out and go get a purse that's a one-on-one and you'll love it, or some shoes, or the only car, and you'll be like, man, that has a lot of value. How come you don't feel the same way about yourself? Don't you realize that you're custom made? Don't you realize there's nobody like you? I know you realize it, but do you really realize it? Like, do you really understand that? And it's the same thing with your worth. Like, when you know how much your value is, which can't be measured, like there's no price that can be put on your soul and your heart. Like, why do you sell yourself? Why do you settle? Why do you sell yourself to things that presentations and information? Presentation and information. And I know it's hard because of loneliness. I get it. I know it's easier said than done, guys. But it's hard freaking having your heart broke. It's hard settling for less. It's hard by not having guts. It's hard by allowing fear controlling your life. Those things are hard. That's hard. That's hard because that's a heart that doesn't change. People ask, where do I get my confidence from? I get my confidence in knowing that it's not about I have everything figured out. I just know that what I don't want to just continue to go through in my life. People say, oh, Trent, you're so positive. How are you so positive? Because I understand being negative will do absolutely nothing for my life. Even if I got to fake it till I make it in that aspect of perspective-wise, I'm going to do that because I know being negative or complaining or accepting less, that's a fact. Nothing will change. Nothing will change. That's a fact. If you keep accepting the same stuff, nothing will change. I can guarantee you that. Now, I can't guarantee that if you do something different, then things will. I can't guarantee you that. I can't guarantee where your life is going, but I know by you staying where you're at and you continue to do what you do and you continue not to elevate your life or you continue to lower your standards and not respect your standards, you continue to not know your worth instead of living your worth, I know where that leads to. I can guarantee 100%. But you have to make that decision. And I don't want to hear it's Trent, that's easier said than done. I don't want to hear it because that's an excuse. Is that going to be your excuse for your whole life? Everything is easier said than done. And I'm not being insensitive. I'm being real with you. If you want somebody to massage you and make you feel better about doing nothing, then I'm the wrong person to listen to. But I'm just being honest with you. Easier said than done can't be your whole excuse for the rest of your life. It can't. It can't be, oh, well, I've been in this situation for this amount of time. Okay, cool. Well, if you're going to choose to stay there, and I know it's a lot of the variables that go with it. It's not just as easy as that. But if you're going to choose to stay in stuff and be involved in stuff and settle for less and not invest in your life or whatever, whatever it is, don't complain about the things you aren't willing to change. That's my motto. And I speak to that to myself. Everything I tell y'all, I tell to me. Right? I'll tell myself hey, well, you're accepting it, so shut up. Oh, well, you're not changing it, so stop complaining about it. If you want something different, then you got to do something different. And that's in every aspect of my life with me, every aspect of my life. And so that's why I look at life from that perspective. That's why my perspective is my power. I find the beauty in every storm. I find it in every storm because every storm holds beauty, right? Some people think storms suck because storms are inconvenient. It's raining right now. You got to get wet and, it messes up everything. But also storms produce growth, though. We need storms. Our grass, our flowers, our trees, we need storms, right? They need storms just like we need storms in our life. And so, I know I talked about a lot tonight, but I wanted to come on here. I know I'm a little bit late, but I just got finished literally recording. I can show y'all right quick. Just literally got finished doing an hour-long training with these guys, Shane, Brenda, studio setup, inner circle stuff. So just got finished knocking that out before I had to get packed and go on vacation. But and I love it too. And this is just some random side note that might not have anything to do with anybody on here. But people ask me that all the time, where do you get your energy from? Or how do you know this is your purpose, right? Read my book about purpose, by the way. But people are like, how do you know this is what you're created to do? Because I enjoy it. I'm tired right now, right? I'm tired. I had a long day. I recorded podcasts today. I've done so much today. But when I step in front of that camera or when I'm on here right now, all those things disappear. The tiredness disappears. The concern disappears. The worry disappears. And I feel a passion. I feel a power inside of me that nothing else brings. I lose track of time. When I'm doing this, I don't even know how long I've been on here. I said I'm going to come here for 5 minutes. It's probably been 10 already. I don't know. But that's how you know you're doing what you're created to do or you're doing something that you love is because no matter how you feel no matter how you feel before or after, but when you're doing it, it energizes you. It powers you. And so I want to say thank you to everybody on here who supported me, who continues to support me, who continues to rock with RehabTime. I know some of y'all been rocking for a decade. Some of y'all been rocking for a day. I appreciate it all because I'm never going to stop inspiring. I'm never going to stop impacting. I'm never going to stop giving you guys tools to actually transform your life because even on here, I don't like for you guys just to watch me and listen and just sit there and yep, you're right, Trent. Amen. Yes, brother. Yep. All that. That's cool. But what I'm concerned about is you actually making a change. What I love to see and hear when people write me and say, Trent, because of this, I did this that made this happen in my life. I love application. I'm not a motivational speaker, right? I'm a real speaker. I'm a reality speaker. I'm a transformational speaker. Like, that's what I want. I want you to transform your life. And I can't do it for you. That's for darn sure. But I want you to transform your life. I don't want you just to be inspired and like, oh, Trent's cool, or I like this about him, or I just like watching him, or I like hearing his podcast, and that's it. But I don't do anything that he says. I don't apply anything. What's the point of that? Like, what's the point? You know, make changes. Make changes, make moves, but don't make excuses, okay? So for everybody, again, today, you've heard me tell you guard your heart and your values. Maybe the application is, okay, what are my values, right? Maybe you sit here and you write down, okay, what are my values? What are the things that I value? And it seems like it's something so simple. See, we think that application is some long out extensive process because we went to school our whole entire lives. It has to be some complicated thing. No, it's simple. What are the values in my life? Okay, these are the things that I value. I value loyalty. I value respect. I value whatever it is that you value. And you ask yourself, okay, what areas in my life that I'm settling what values am I settling in? What values do I need to get stronger at? And you just evaluate things, right? You apply, you say, okay, I'm not going to lower my values for nobody. That's application. It's that simple. I'm out of here. I got to get home. I just saw my wife text me. It was like, where you at? That means that I get 10 minutes before she start she going to text me again. And then after that, if I don't answer, then she going to call me. So she's probably about to call me in a second and interrupt this whole live. So let me go home, get home to Maria with the kids. And yeah, it all starts with you. Let's get it.